You have somebody getting this order?
I believe Ms. Ward is,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Just double checking.
I was not going to magically appear, but.
All right, Ms. Porter, you can come this way. All right, Ms. Porter, I'm going to have you stand right in front of me and please spell and state your first name and last name.
Felicia Porter, SAWISJ.
Okay.
POR.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm, tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and have a seat. The microphone is for recording purposes, so it doesn't amplify your voice. So project as best you can to the back, okay?
Okay.
All right, Ms. Wilson, you may proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. So we should, do you have any children?
Yes.
What are your children's names?
Jaden Strong, JC Armstrong, and Junior McCarthy.
Okay, and who are Jaden and Jayceon's, who is Jaden and Jayceon's dad?
William Strong.
William Strong. How long have you known William?
Since I was about 15.
Okay, and how old are you now?
31.
31. Okay. Do you have a good idea of what he looks like?
Yes.
If you saw him today, would you recognize him?
Yes.
Do you see him in the courtroom?
Yeah.
Can you point him out and describe something he's wearing?
A yellow stripe polo.
All right. Your Honor, I'd request the record to reflect identification.
Any objection, Ms. Nichol, on behalf of the defendant?
No objection for this witness.
All right, let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. How old is Jayceon?
10.
When is his birthday?
November 21st, 2013.
Okay. Now I'd like to draw your attention back to December 17th of 2023. Does anything stick out in your mind from that date?
William assaulted Jayceon
Okay. And where did that happen?
in my home.
And what is your address?
2915 Delta River Drive.
Is that in the city of Lansing?
Yes.
To the best of your knowledge, is that Ingham County?
Yes.
And is that the state of Michigan?
Yes.
Now, how did this all start?
William and myself, we have a 6-month on and off custody agreement. December 3rd, I believe, 2023 was William's turn to get Jayceon and Jaden. Jayceon expressed to me that he didn't want to live with his father. So I sent William a message. We're kind of going back and forth. I said I want to have a verbal conversation with him, not on the phone. I invited him to the house to talk with me and Jayceon about what Jayceon had told me, because after I told William that Jayceon didn't want to live with him, Jayceon told me that William had choked him. So when we got there, when William got to my house, I was cooking dinner, and we were all sitting at the living room table. So I was back and forth from the living room to the kitchen.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop you there for a second. So, so you had invited William to come over, is that correct?
Yes.
And you said you were having a conversation over text?
Yes.
Okay, and were you texting that day on December 17th?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor, for the record, I'm showing defense counsel people's proposed exhibits 2 and 3.
Record may so reflect the defense counsel is reviewing exhibits 2 and 3. People's proposed exhibits 2 and 3.
I have no problem with the prosecutor presenting these. I would like to raise an issue before the actual content is read out for the jury to hear.
All right.
I'll lay my foundation.
Okay, we'll lay the foundation and then before we admit, we'll probably take a break with the jury so that it can be made out of the presence of the jury, but you may proceed on 2 and 3.
Thank you, Your Honor. So back in December of 2023, was William's phone number saved in your phone?
I believe so, under the boy's father.
Okay, and is that was the name that you had in the contact for him?
I really can't recall. He passed some of the numbers, so.
Okay, is that one of the numbers?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach?
You may.
So Misha, I'm handing you people's proposed exhibits 2 and 3. Can you take a look at those real quick? Do you recognize those?
Yes.
What are they?
Text messages from William.
Okay, and how do you recognize that they're from William?
It says the boy's father, and that's what I have in store, and I can messages on my cell phone.
Okay, and do you recall when those messages were sent?
The day.
Yeah.
I believe this happened the day that before Jason got assaulted, or?
Okay, so it would be around December 16th?
Yes.
Okay, and that's in 2023?
Yes.
All right. Are those fair and accurate representations of the text messages you received?
What do you mean?
Have there been any modifications or changes to them?
No.
No? Okay. Your Honor, I'd move to admit people's proposed exhibits 2 and 3.
All right, and with that understanding, there's going to be
Yeah.
objection. That I'd like to do that out of the presence of the
Yes.
jury. So I'm going to ask the jurors to step out at this time. So that'd be 1 through 7 can go with David, and then we'll come get you after the arguments have been made.
All right, for jurors.
And Your Honor, did you want Ms. Porter to step out for arguments as well?
I don't see a need for Ms. Porter to step out.
No problem with me.
Right, as long as counsel doesn't have an opinion. If counsel does have an opinion, we can have Ms. Porter removed, step off the bench.
I don't have an objection to
All right,
anything.
so you may be seated. So this is in the motion to admit people's exhibit 1 and 2 has been requested, and defense counsel objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm objecting to the admission under 405 for improper character evidence. We have not opened the door to any character trait, and this is really a general intent crime. There's no specific character trait that needs to be referenced. I understand that while Ms. Wilson's opening statement is not evident, she did reference a potential of using them as motive. Motive would have been something that needed to be noticed under 404B. Our office did not receive a 404B notice, so I would object to being used under 404B as well as 405.
Thank you. Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm not introducing it to prove characters, so 405 is not applicable. And we did have a hearing on these text messages in which the court found that they were relevant and admissible, and we did address the potential of 404B argument. Words are not prior acts, so it's not a 404B issue. Thank you.
Thank you. I find that I believe that a 403 has been met in regards to relevance, and then the character issue, we can instruct them on the difference between the character and the substantive issue. So I will rule that 2 and 3 are admissible for their relevant purposes in when it goes to motive and intent, as opposed to the character issue. Any character issue is kind of sideline, is ancillary to the main motive, and I will instruct them accordingly on the character issue, and we'll take a look at that during for the section 3 of the instructions. But I will admit exhibits 2 and 3, and we'll share them with the jury when they come in. Okay. Anything else for the record, Ms. Wilson?
Thank you, Your Honor. I was going to ask for a break after Ms. Porter's testimony to discuss whether or not we're going to bring in additional witnesses. Does the court want to address that now or wait until the close of Ms. Porter's testimony?
I have no preference. Ms. Nickel, do you have a preference as to address those issues now while the jury's out? Or do you want to wait till after Ms. Porter's testimony?
We can address them now.
All right, so Ms. Wilson, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The last I knew, both my officers that I had subpoenaed and endorsed are here. It's the people's position that we do not need their testimony today. I have produced them for defense counsel per the court rule and the case law should defense counsel wish to call them, but I am not intending to call either of them. For Ms. Panic, the CPS worker, she was here during jury selection. She did inform me that she needed to go pick up her child at 2:30, but that she could be back after that. At this point, I don't think I need her testimony either. I can ask for her to come back if defense counsel would like to have her testify, but the people are not intending to call her.
All right, so my understanding is that both officers and Ms. Panic would be made available if necessary. Ms. Nickel, did you want some time to talk to your client about this, or are you ready to indicate whether it changes an instruction with witness availability? Ms. Nickel, any comment on the people's making of the record?
Yes, Your Honor. With respect to the officers, I leave it in the court's discretion as they did not specifically witness the incident. In preparation for a trial and in speaking to Mr. Strong, we anticipate the CPS worker being here. She conducted the forensic interviews with both children. That is testimony that is certainly relevant and important for the jury to consider. If the CPS worker is unable to testify, I am asking for the missing witness instruction.
All right, so it's my understanding that we'll ask the witness to come back.
Ask her to come back. I
Ms.
can,
Panic,
yep.
I think we'll see, and then we'll explain that the officer testimony is not necessary. Is that a fair statement, Mrs. Nickel?
If we want to break after Ms. Porter, so Ms. Nickel can further discuss the evolving strategy with
All
Mr.
right.
Strong, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. So let's do this. Let's do this, Ms. Nickel. We'll right now we're going to bring everybody back, and just in case, and then we'll let you discuss it more with your client once the witness has gone off the stand. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. With that understanding, I'll bring back the jury, and we'll continue on with Ms. Porter's testimony.
And so you admitted the.
I'm going to in front of the
Okay,
jury.
sounds good.
All rise.
Right, you can be seated. So we're back on the record in docket 24-00753. A motion has been made in relation to exhibits 2 and 3. The court having heard arguments, I'm going to admit exhibits 2 and 3 to the jury, and then would you like to publish?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. If I may approach.
You may.
All right, so we should. So before we took a brief break, you said that William had come over to your home to discuss these issues. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and what happened once he got there?
I explained to him that JCI did not want to live with him, and I explained to him why. I let JCI have the floor first. William also let him have the floor. Jason explained why he didn't want to live with his father. And William called him a liar, which made Jason shut down and start crying. And William then stated that he was lying and he's trying to get me and Jason's trying to get me and William to argue and be at odds. I sent Jason to his room so we can have a conversation. We're in the kitchen and he was getting a little agitated. William was getting a little agitated. And so
How could you tell that he was agitated?
the tone of his voice.
Tone of his
Yeah,
voice?
it went up a little bit. I had told him to calm down because my other child was there, which is not his. So I'm like,
And is that Jameer?
yes, that's
Okay.
okay. So I told him to calm down. We continued to discuss it. He was not hearing anything I had to say or what JC I had to say. In the midst of me cooking, he went to the back of the house and I turned around and I didn't see him behind me. So I went to the back of the house also.
And what is towards the back of the house?
All three of our bedrooms.
Okay. And where was JC at that point?
JC was in his room.
In his room, and that was towards the back of the house?
Correct.
Okay. And what happened after you noticed that William wasn't there anymore?
He was walking down the hall telling the boys to get ready, and I tell him no, like this, everything that's going on is not settled. So we need to come to an agreement about something. And he continued to say it's his turn to have a kid. Jason's lying, and that basically the boys need to go in house. And in the midst of it, I was closing Jason's door. We walked straight to the back of the house. Jason and Jameer's room straight ahead. So, and Jaden's room to the left. I mean, to the right, and mine's to the left. So I'm trying to close Jason's door, which had Jameer and Jason in there, you know, to avoid any type of confrontation between them two. William was reaching through the door to grab Jason, but he was crying and screaming at the same time. And he was telling him to shut up, like he's overreacting. And I'm, you know, telling him don't talk to him like that. Somehow he snatched Jason through the, not through the door, but like through the crack of the door, and JC threw Jason on the ground.
And when you say he grabbed him, how did he grab him?
Like this and then pulled him,
Okay, and
like forcefully.
for the record, Your Honor, the witness I indicated that it was like the chest area of her shirt and pulling in an outwards
And did she do
motion.
so with the right or left hand?
I didn't see, I believe it was the right hand.
All right.
Is that correct? Yeah, okay.
Okay, so that record, let the record reflect the witnesses as grabbed themselves in the middle of the chest using her right hand. You may proceed.
And you said he threw him. Can you describe that a little bit?
So, like, what do you mean?
So, like, how far did he throw him?
I don't know how to explain the distance between Jaden's room and Jason's room, but enough for Jason to be close to Jaden's room. It's like fairly close, but enough to, you know, rile Jason up some more to start screaming and crying.
Okay, and when you say it was close, what about from where you're sitting to where I'm standing?
So if this is Jason's room, Jaden's room would be to the back of me, to my right.
Okay,
So I would say it was, is this a juror?
yes.
Yes.
Close to this juror, so
Okay.
standing up though. So if I was standing up, he snatched him and Jason landed close to Jaden's door.
I'm not very good at spatial reasoning, Your Honor, but that appears to be maybe 5.
Yeah, I'd say at least 3 to 5 feet.
Yeah.
3 to 5 feet. So the record reflect that the witnesses talked about a distance, proximity, and I'd say between 3 to 5 to 6 feet.
Thank you, Your Honor. And
Is that a
how-
fair statement, Ms. Nichol?
Yes, Your Honor,
All
no
right, thank
objection
you.
to best.
how far off the ground did Jason get when he was thrown?
I can't really say.
Okay.
I know you heard him hit the ground, so it had to be a
Okay.
little force, well, a lot of force.
And how did he land?
On his stomach.
Okay. Where in, so this was in the hallway, is that correct?
Correct. Happened twice.
Happened twice, okay. And what kind of floor is in the home?
A wooden floor.
Wooden floor. Where in the hallway did he land?
Close to Jaden's door.
Okay, so was it near the wall then?
Yes.
Okay. And then you said he did it again, is that correct?
Yes.
And how did that happen?
I was trying to get to Jason without causing a fight between us two because Jameer was there and he doesn't do that. And Jaden was there and I'm not inside that. So I was trying to get to him and he like bogarted me, like pushed himself away from me and picked Jason up. And I just seen him on the floor again. Okay. And I heard it. So.
Okay, and what happened after that?
I decided, I believe I was on the phone after the first time with my significant other at the time, Flores. I hung up with him and called the police. And Jaden somehow ended up outside and he grabbed Jason and took him outside.
And when you say he, who do you mean?
William grabbed
William?
Jason.
Okay. Now, when William initially grabbed Jason by the bedroom, what was Jason doing?
Crying and screaming.
Okay.
And he doesn't want to go.
Was he being physical with William? Like, was he fighting back?
No.
No. Was he pulling away from William?
Yes, a little.
Okay, and what direction?
Backward.
Backwards towards the bedroom?
Yeah.
Okay, what about the second time that he threw him? What was Jason doing?
Trying to come towards me,
Okay,
which I was in between all three of the bedrooms.
okay. Okay, and was he still crying at that time?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you noticed any changes in Jason since this happened?
Yes, he's a little over emotional. Well, I wouldn't call it over emotional, but he like gets ticked off easily or he gets upset about certain things. He looks for like he tries to make sure he does everything right with me, even though we parent different. So
Okay. Your Honor, I have nothing further at this time.
Cross-examination, Ms. Nick.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Porter.
good afternoon.
How long has the on and off custody agreement been in effect?
I would say the past almost 2 years, if that. I'm not quite sure because there was changes.
Changes, okay. And do your boys favor one of you over Mr. Strong just naturally?
Yes, I feel Jason favors me more than his father, and Jaden is mutual.
And have you ever had issues and exchanges before the incident that we're talking about today? When we switch from staying with you as opposed to Mr. Strong, prior to this incident, has something like this ever happened before?
No.
We had talked about earlier some texts that you were doing between Mr. Strong and yourself. Those were specifically between you and Mr. Strong?
The text messages?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was nobody else included in the chain of communication?
No.
Neither Jason or Jaden were involved in that conversation?
No.
How would you describe the relationship of co-parenting you have with Mr. Strong?
It's bipolar on his end. Sometimes we get along and sometimes we don't.
Do you recall interacting with Mr. Strong on December 18th.
After,
Yeah, after the following day.
think so. Yeah.
That's okay. Do you remember where you were when you saw him the following day?
At Jaden's basketball game?
And do you remember if something happened?
Yes.
Okay, what happened?
Your Honor, may defense counsel and I approach real quick?
You may. So we were starting to cross-examination and there was something about another meeting the next day. And so Ms. Wilson, I'll hear from you. And for the record, David came and asked, is this a good time to provide snacks or whatever? I'm like, this is a great time to provide snacks. So we have a jury. So this break will be an actual break. They'll look at. Ms. Wilson, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the events that we're about to get into, the police were called and a warrant request was submitted to our office for the incidents. It was denied. However, I believe that Ms. Porter should be advised of her Fifth Amendment rights before she's questioned about it, just for safety precautions, in case there's anything potentially incriminating that might come up later.
All right, thank you. Ms. Nickel. Anything, any comment, or do you want to make a record before I'm gonna go ahead and explain to Ms. Porter some of the rights she has in this case?
Your Honor, I'm asking that if Ms. Porter decides not to continue the cross-examination on the incident we were getting to, that there'd be some other instructions of the jury is aware of why the questioning stopped, and that there is the potential that evidence would have been favorable to the defense.
Right, but I think that's fair. I also think that that Ms. Porter has a duty to finish the cross-examination. You know, once she's taken her directed,
Yes.
once she's been on direct examination, she needs to finish the cross-examination.
If the defense is going to waive their ability to finish that cross, if there is an issue and there is a curative instruction, I think that would be okay. But I think before we get into that, maybe we need to determine whether or not it's even going to be an issue.
All right. So let me So Miss, it's Miss Sawisha Porter, correct?
Correct.
All right. You understand that we're about to get into the following meeting the next day. That happened, it appears it happened at a basketball game, okay? And there was a police report taken at that, and then the request for investigation was turned over to the prosecutor's office and it was denied, all right? So you understand that has happened already.
Okay, yes.
Okay, you understand that. And so any cross-examination that you make, where you're answering questions, if you make it in a way that you have a duty not to incriminate yourself, all right? And so that's what the prosecutor's concerned about. You won't want to finish the cross-examination, but I want you to understand that you don't have to answer the questions, but they are relevant, okay? They go to what happened afterwards. And so this is part of the cross-examination. So by answering the questions, you'd be waiving any right you have to the Fifth Amendment in order to not incriminate yourself. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to answer those questions?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that the Fifth Amendment's been explained. You have a right not to incriminate. It's been explained to the witness. The witness has indicated she will answer the questions. This is kind of a belt and suspenders approach, all right, to make sure. And then if we're taking if they're David, is the jury looking at snacks?
Yeah, Susan got them.
All right. So if you want to talk with counsel, and I'll give counsel the time to meet with Mr. Strong, and we can figure out how many more witnesses we'll need. And then we'll come back and place everything on the record. So we're going to actually take a break and allow the jury to have a minute or two, and then we'll come back and put it on the record.
And Your Honor, I will say Ms. Porter can go back to the library with your children. I have instructed everybody not to talk
All
about
right.
their testimony today. I will not go back and discuss anything just to make sure that we stay away from any coaching allegations or
All
anything
right.
like that.
So Ms. Porter, you understand that although you may see your two sons and there's no reason why you shouldn't, you can't talk about the case.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Ms. Nickel, any comment or along those lines concerning how the court's handling the mother of the two sons and making sure that the witnesses don't talk about any of these events?
Your Honor, as long as there is no discussion of the case while we're in the library, I have no objection to them saying
All
the
right.
same.
So we'll use this time for the parties to figure out how many more witnesses are going to be called for the appearance, and then we'll go back on the record.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
You can head back to the library.
You may be seated.
Start
Thank
back up
you.
again.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sorry.
It's not your fault.
As soon as testimony is over, we
It's going back on.
can turn it back on. As soon as testimony is over.
I'm
Hold on.
gonna run in my office real quick to check my voicemail
Okay.
and give it that other box and there's take up the whole office.
Driving you over the edge.
Yeah.
I told you quit shipping free on when she's doing
I have that Bynum observed the children after the incident and Murray.
Merlick, and he took the initial statement from Suisha. The only person that interviewed the kids was the CPS worker.
So, you agree with me that Pong and Byron observed children, I'm sorry, Burke and Pong observed them, but did not speak to them, correct?
Pung did not. He really just received the police or the CPS report and then submitted the case to us. He really didn't do anything. Merlick did not see the kids. He did. Bynum went over to Mr. Strong and saw the kids, and he had a partner, Washington, I think.
Okay. All right.
So the officers that came to my house, those aren't the ones that are present today.
We're gonna,
Bynum and Merlick are here.
My number for here.
Oh, you
Yep, come here.
I just asked Jackie to call the CPS worker. I'll go double check, but I'm pretty sure my officers came back at 1:45. Okay.
I just wanted to.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah. So you're waiting on results? That's fun.
That's why I went with the temp positions
Yeah.
for the full-time one,
Mhm.
just in case I
Yeah.
keep the other stuff.
Think you're gonna do full-time if you get it? Maybe? Do you like it?
Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
It's weird because I feel like, you know, like school, you're like, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
learned this and this, and then I'm like, did I really learn anything at all?
Right.
You know?
It's good though. If you left feeling like you failed, that's good. The people that leave feeling like they crushed it never did well.
Good. You know, like, just, there's just so many things
Yeah.
to learn.
So when did you decide to go from, because you were an arson investigator, weren't you?
So she kind of worded that a little weird.
Okay.
So I worked for the state until last week. I worked for Bath Fire part-time.
Okay.
Paid on call, but
Mhm.
just, worked for Lanesburg Fire, just kind of help them out. Worked for Sterling.
Okay, what did you do there? Just EMT stuff or?
At Sparrow.
Yeah.
So I was an investigator, so I go to the scenes of investigate bodies. So
Oh,
I
okay.
can't do Ingham County anymore for obvious
Yes.
reasons. So I still do Clinton and most of Eaton except for that
So
annex portion.
you don't, but you don't have an MD.
No, I just have the JD.
Okay, because I was gonna say, damn, you're just stacking up.
Hey, I learned like halfway through law school, there's like 4 universities you go to that you get JD and MD at the same time. I don't know how terrible life would be, but I
Awful.
think my wife and 3 children would hate me, so.
Awful, yeah. Yeah, I graduated with a guy that had a J, he got his JD, he had his MD already, and a PhD. I was like, why are you here? Why?
Trying to push the student loans on.
Yeah, I guess, I was just like, come on, man.
So, let's see.
Yeah, well, welcome to the fire.
No better with me.
Yep. I'm gonna run to the bathroom.
Okay, I think if we can get the officers for the observation and what they did with the investigation, that would be helpful.
Both of them?
Yes.
Okay. Are you gonna call them? Because I don't want to call them.
If they're here, I can.
Yeah, they're here.
Okay.
My advocate's trying to track down the CPS worker. We'll see.
Okay.
Yep.
What can you document, is there in any way related? What did you document say? Any way related? It's very long. What can you document say? Bring them back in.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah. Yeah, Jerry room has his own thermostat back there.
It's got a fridge.
Microwave, I just put back there.
No wonder my officers like hanging out down there more than over here.
Well, hopefully at some point when we get the new courtyard fixed,
Yeah.
that's gonna happen, but
But the new, that was a new core building, had AC, that's all.
yeah.
So technically, this one has it.
All rise,
Sorry, Dave, I didn't realize you
Sorry.
were there.
sorry.
You can be seated. All right. Is there anything come to the court's attention before we get the juries?
It's my understanding that the defense intends to call Officer Bynum and Officer Merlick. They're both here in Judge Buchanan's courtroom. Elizabeth Panic advised that she had a doctor's appointment at 3:30 and she wasn't feeling well. I told her she still needed to come. Whether she does that remains to be seen. If she doesn't, then we'll do the missing witness
All
instruction.
right, all right, all right. So do we have any, so do you have any further proofs on this?
The rest of Miss Porter,
Oh, Miss Porter,
and
that's great.
then say for rebuttal.
All right, and the remaining proofs, Miss Nickel will call
Yes.
in defense. Just I'm trying to see when would be a good time to break for summary disposition. Or summary judgment, or directed verdict, however you want to call it. Well, let's wait to see how the proofs come out. All right. All right, so So we'll put Miss Porter back on the stand.
Yes,
All right,
I will go grab her.
okay.
Oh, wait.
And
do
then
you
we'll
want
call
jury
the-
in first, or-
We'll call the jury in after we
Okay.
put her on the stand.
Okay.
Just in case. All right, Ms. Porter, you're still under oath, and I'll have you take the stand. And then David will return with the jury, and we'll get started on the cross.
All rise.
All right, so we're back on the you're gonna have a seat. We're back on the record in docket 24-00753. Ms. Nichol, you may proceed with your cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Porter, we were talking about the day after when you and Mr. Strong were at one of your son's basketball games. Do you remember us talking about that?
Yeah.
Okay. And you and Mr. Strong had an argument at the basketball game?
After the basketball?
After, I'm sorry, yes, after the basketball game.
No, it wasn't an argument.
Okay. Did you have a conversation with Mr. Strong?
No, it was more so with Jaden.
Okay. At some point during that discussion, you sprayed Mr. Strong with mace?
Nope.
Do you remember talking to the police that day about, do you remember giving them a statement?
Yes, that's I attempted to spray him with mace.
You had a can of mace on you.
Right, I carry mace.
Do you recall in that statement that Mr. Strong may have been sprayed when you used the can?
No. What, to the police officer?
To the police officer?
No, I told her, I do believe I told her I attempted to spray. I don't know. I don't remember. I could have said, I don't know.
Going back to the incident today, did you speak to a CPS worker about the incident that we're here for today?
Yes, I spoke with two.
Two. And you spoke to them within, what would you say, a couple weeks after the incident happened?
Yeah, about that.
And those were the only conversations you had with them, correct? You didn't, you spoke to them and you never spoke to them again.
Correct.
Right, I have no further questions for Ms. Porter.
All right, any redirect to Ms. Wilson?
Briefly, Your Honor. Ms. Porter, why did you try to spray William with the pepper spray?
Because I asked him to stop coming close to me. We have a history.
Okay. And how did you feel when he was coming close to you?
Threatened.
Okay. Now, Ms. Nickel had asked you about speaking with the CPS worker. Do you remember that?
Or I spoke with two.
Okay. Did you speak with a CPS worker before this incident with William and the pepper spray?
Yes.
Okay, nothing further, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused from the people,
She may, Your Honor.
from the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you for your appearance today.
Thank
You're all
you.
set. Any further proofs from the people, Ms. Wilson?
No, Your Honor, the people reserve the right for rebuttal, but our case in chief is closed.
All right, and then we've spoken about, at the risk of, we'll wait for an actual break because, all right, and we just came off of a break. The people have rested. Ms. Nichols, do you have any evidence to bring forward today on behalf of your client?
Yes, Your Honor, the defense would ask to call Officer Ethan Merlick from the Lansing Police Department.
All right. And I think,
He's in Judge Buchanan's room.
Marley.
Merlick.
right, Officer Merlick can come up here. I want you to stand right in front of me and spell your and say your last name and first name for the record.
My first name is Ethan, spelled E-T-H-A-N. My last name is Merlick, spelled M as in Mary, U-R-L-I-C-K.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury.
Do.
All right, have a seat. Please project to the back. The microphone is for recording purposes. And Ms. Wilson, when Ms. Nickel, when you're ready, you may proceed.
Thank you. Officer Merlick, how are you employed?
I'm employed with the city of Lansing for the police department.
And what is your normal duties when you're on?
I am assigned to road patrol.
And what is road patrol?
Road patrol are uniformed officers. We drive marked patrol vehicles and respond to calls for service.
Do you remember getting a call for service on December 17th?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall going to Miss Porter's home?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you remember seeing any of her children that evening?
No, ma'am.
Do you remember having a conversation with Miss Porter?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember if you or any of the other officers spoke to Mr. Strong?
One of my partners advised me spoke with Mr. Strong.
And his name, if you recall?
Officer Bynum.
And from your memory, was there any medics or other hospital vehicles called to the scene?
No, ma'am.
Do you recall if any, from you, if any arrest was made with Mr. Strong that evening?
No arrest was made that night.
And no further questions for director.
Thank you. Cross-examination, Ms. Wilson.
None, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, may this witness be excused, Ms. Nichol?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Officer Morelli, thank you for your attendance today. Thank you. And the defense may call their next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defense will call Officer Jonathan Bynum from Lansing Police Department.
All right. Officer Morelli's going to get Officer Bynum.
Yeah, yep. My bad.
Officer Bynum, you can come up here.
Sure.
Stand right in front of me and you can spell your first name and your last name for the record.
Jonathan, Jonathan, Bynum, Bynum.
Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Right, have a seat. The microphone is for recording purposes, so please project as best you can. And Ms. Nichol, when you're ready.
Officer Bynum, how are you employed?
I'm employed with the city of Lansing.
And what do you do for the city of Lansing?
I'm a police officer.
And what is your normal duties on call?
To patrol and respond to call.
Do you remember getting a dispatch call on December 17th?
Yes.
And was that to Miss Porter's home? Do you remember the name of the individual? home you went to?
I went to an apartment address to do follow-up for Officer Merlin.
Did you observe any children at that home?
Yes.
And did you remember writing a report on your observations?
Yes.
And you understand the importance of reports?
Yes.
And detailing what you see in for the investigation?
Yes.
And what were your observations of the children at?
I believe if I remember correctly, I observed 2 children, both of which seemed to be fine and happy, and they didn't make any complaints to me.
And to your recollection, were any medics or ambulances called that evening?
No, not that I can remember.
Do you recall if any arrests were made that evening? Any arrests were made that evening?
No. No, that's me.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Any cross-examination, Ms. Wilson?
Briefly, Your Honor. Officer Bynum, you didn't spend very long with the children, is that correct?
Yes, that'd be correct.
Would you say you spent maybe 2 minutes with them?
Probably around there, yeah.
Okay, and you never spoke with them outside of the presence of the defendant, Mr. Strong, correct?
No.
Okay. And you never got within probably 5 feet of them, correct?
That's probably correct.
Okay, nothing further, Your Honor.
Any redirect, Ms. Nichol?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. May this witness be excused may this witness be excused, Ms. Nichol?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
May this witness be excused, Ms. Wilson?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, thank you for your appearance today. You're excused, sir.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too. We're gonna take at least a few minutes to go over jury instructions. At this time, the defense is calling one more witness, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, and before we do so, I wanted to address them before Mr. Strong testifies.
Okay. Oh,
Outside the presence.
outside the presence of the jury. All right. So this is probably a good time to take a break. Okay. We'll come back. You're probably thinking we've got all kinds of breaks we're taking, but I mean, but it usually doesn't go like this. Okay. It usually doesn't. So that's a good thing. But this will be the last break. Because we're probably going to try to get everything done so you're ready to deliberate, okay? You'll hear closing arguments and everything. But in the meantime, I want to meet with counsel. We want to go over instructions. And then we also have some other things that we have to just kind of sort out. So follow David, and we should call you back in about 10, 15 minutes.
All right, sure.
All right, you can be seated. So twofold. We have Miss Panic may be a witness, may not. So Miss Wilson's thinking not. So that would change our instructions. We'll make sure and add the missing witness instruction. So let me add that or make sure that that might be a part of already the third jury instruction. Miss Nichol, you wanted some time to talk to your client or make a record in regards to either your client testifying or not testifying. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, Your Honor. And with respect to the testimony based on what we've heard, I would like to address a limitation on that testimony, if I may.
You may.
Thank you. We had a discussion prior to the jury starting about a text message allegedly sent from my client to Ms. Porter regarding court today. Ms. Porter has testified that that particular exchange was not referenced, and certainly at this point, the jury has heard information about the incident, about the theory that the prosecutor's office has made with respect to any potential motive or any other evidence that they feel is helpful to prove their burden. At this point, I find that the text message allegedly sent from Mr. Strong regarding whether or not Ms. Porter would come to court is no longer relevant and certainly would be more prejudicial against Mr. Strong at this point, given the other evidence that we've already heard today. I'd ask the court that on cross-examination, Ms. Wilson be prohibited from discussing that text message exchange at this point. Thank you.
Response.
I think a blanket prohibition is not necessarily appropriate. If the door gets opened, I think I should be permitted to go there. But I would leave it to the court.
All right, well, I find if Mr. Strong does, this is, you know, it's a pivotal ruling, but if Mr. Strong feels that he's going to testify today, I need to hear the testimony before I can rule that something's out of bounds in any way. This testimony is of text messages that were sent from the defendant to the mother of the children. And I think A, it's relevant. B, we have to see the testimony before we can see if it's being used as impeachment purposes and what it's being used for. So I guess I'm not able, so I'll deny your motion to make a blanket statement. I will wait to see if the testimony comes in to impeach Mr. Strong based on his testimony. So at this point in time, Ms. Nickel, did you need some time to confer with your client concerning his testimony? We can take some time off the record because we probably have to meet on instructions, and we also have to choose a juror.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I'll allow you some time to meet with your client further and to talk about this, and then we'll go on the record. I'm going to go back and I'll prepare the jurors, so we'll all look at it together, and then we'll place any objections on the record that we see. I want to make sure that that we have a witness who did not appear. It appears so that instruction should be in there, and this will give Ms. Nichols some time to talk to her client. All right, so all right, sure, just let me know and we'll go over the instructions and the last year.
Judge, just send me something. John.
That experience happened.
Man, I thought we were gonna be done sooner. It was gonna go quicker. Didn't know I had those thoughts.
Oh, no. Judge still looks at emails, but she,
Judge or Kelly?
well, both, because both of them respond to emails. Judge just responded to me.